Hey crafty friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today I have a stamp set from the brand new release from Trinity Stamps, and this one's called Bunny Burrows, and is that not adorable? If that's not enough, it has some amazing dies to go with it. One that has an actual opening door, cuts out the window, and you can put this little window pane in it, and I love it. It also has these little decorative dies to go with it, and I'll show you those as well. So we're going to make a slimline card. I just could not resist with all these cute images. And we're also going to bring in a Latte Love stamp set. I'm going to use the thanks stamp from that. Then we have some slimline. We have the slimline Scenic borders and the stitched slimline dies that we're going to use. I'm going to cut down my base real quick. So I'll take 4 inches off of this. That will leave 7 inches by 8.5 inches for my base. And then I'll take this piece and I will run the biggest of the stitched slimline dies on this piece and run that through my die cutting machine. And then we're also going to take the Scenic borders and we're going to put that on some green cardstock that I have. And then after those are cut out, we're going to take that same large die and run that through because I want that stitched border around both those pieces of grass. All right, I've grabbed some Simon Hurley ink. This is called Fake Plant. It's the new one. And I'm going to ink up my grass with that. Just adds a little bit of dimension. It takes that color from a flat to something else. And I'm using my Trinity brushes. These are something that I recently invested in and have been very happy to have a brush for every color family. I think I've mentioned that before. It isn't necessary to maybe have a brush for every color family if you don't want to, if you don't craft that often, but I do. So I craft every day. I'm not sure if you noticed that I did use purple tape to hold down my dies, and it left either some residue or something on there. It didn't tear the paper, but I'm not happy with that. And I try to cover it, try to erase it, doesn't work, so we'll have to cover that later. I'm going to try to make this a nighttime sky, so I'm going to bring in some more of those Simon Hurley Create inks. This color is another new one. This one is called Midnight Snack, and I love the just deep navy blue of it. It's just really, really pretty. And I'll just ink blend that all around the edges. I don't need to go that far down because obviously there's going to be a lot of grass on there. I want to bring in some Crown Me, which is the purple ink in his line. And that'll just kind of, I don't know, add something to that background. And I really, really like that I added the purple. I'm not even sure why I grabbed purple, but I love it. It like gives it almost like this deep violet blue shade, and it's just really pretty. So I'll bring in that Midnight Snack again to deepen the edges, and I'm starting to really like it. I do want to bring in some black, and so I'm going to bring in my Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink, and I'm just going to blend that on my edges. It just kind of really solidifies that this is a nighttime sky, in my opinion. By having that darker edge, it's just something. And I'm happy. I'm happy with the blend, and then we'll get ready to move on to our next part. I had already stamped my images. I stamped those onto some Express It cardstock using that Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink, and now I'm going to Copic color these. These are some super fun images. They are a little bit detailed, but very cartoon detail, which is super cute. And so I'm starting off with some YG06. I used my hex chart to pick out the colors that I wanted. And I wanted to try to match that cardstock that I had as well in the background. So that is why I chose these colors. And I will do a 3-color blend with this one. My next color will be some YG17. Very fitting, it's grass green. And as I've often said, usually I have no rhyme or reason to where I'm putting the shadowing. I'm just sticking it down. And yeah, so I really don't have an actual, like, here's where my light source is coming from. And if you've never been to my channel before, you'll notice that I usually go from lightest to darkest in my colors when I color with alcohol markers. That is just old habit. It works best for me. You'll probably notice that there are other people that go darkest to lightest. It works well for them. They've probably been Copic coloring or alcohol marker coloring for quite a while. And while I sometimes can get a blend with that, I don't always get the best blend. One of the things I've noticed about my style of coloring, if you can't tell, is that I'm kind of I don't want to say messy colorist. That's not really what I mean, because I most of the time stay in the lines, but I am not, polished, if that makes sense. My lines and my shadows and shading are usually fairly jagged, kind of harsh sometimes, and I mean, that's just who I am. That's how I am. And I mean, it's my style. Everybody has their own style. So we're just going to keep moving on with our coloring. For our little fox, we were using E08, and then I'm going to come in with E07 for my darker shade, which isn't really quite dark enough. I need to look for another color, because, I mean, while it first looks dark when you're putting it down because it's wet, it dries back a little bit. And then if you go to try to blend any of that out, which I do here, it definitely dries back. For his little face and his tail, I'm going to use some W1. I decided to go with warm colors instead of any cool colors. And then RV11 for all of their ears and the little bunny's belly. And then I'll use my colorless blender to, or the part where I screwed up, I can get rid of that. For my raccoon, we are coming in starting with W3. And actually, I wish I had gone a little bit, well, not darker to start, but I wish I had gone darker in the darker patches. Instead, I come in with some W4, just for the shadowing and shading in those areas. And I'm trying to figure out where the stripes would be, and I think I messed it up, but meh, it's okay. So here I come in with that W4 around his eyes, and I should have started with the darker shade there. It's not quite dark enough. And then I color the other one, a little bit different. I think it's a little bit darker. You'll notice that I had stamped out 2 sets of all the animals, and I'll typically do that. I guess I figure since I have all my supplies out and the stamps are already on the platform, I might as well stamp them twice. And the reason for that is, well, kind of twofold. I usually don't know how many images I want, especially when you have this many images. I'll just start stamping out and coloring everything and then come up with a layout later on. Most of the time, I don't necessarily have a design in my head. It comes as we're going, if that makes any sense. And so I've got, like I said, stamped them out both twice. And I also really like to decorate the insides of my cards. I know that's not for everybody. For some, that's just a lot of extra work. But for me, I feel like it just really finishes off the card now. And regardless of whether I use all those images inside the card or on the outside of the card or not, at least that way I have some extra images for, let's say I need a quick card later on. The images are already colored, ready to go, and I can usually slap something together pretty quickly from that point. I do want to talk a little bit about my hedgehog. I did put down some W3, and I'm coming in with C3. Now that's the cool gray. And actually, I don't suggest, like I did, put it down first before I put down the W5 and then come back in with the C3. I think your best bet is to just come in with the C or the W5 and then blend it out with the C3. And then it just adds this coolness behind where those quills and stuff are, and I do love how that looks. I want to make the door look a little bit wood grain, so I'm going to be, I'm a flicker. As if you hadn't noticed, I'm definitely just flicking, and I'm not going to blend that out. I am also just going to do some flat color with the red, which is the R27, and I'm going to color the heart on the door, but this stamp set comes with a die to cut out the heart so that it could almost be like a little peephole. How cute is that? Love it. So they're all colored, ready to go, and now I will die cut everything, which actually takes the time. So I'll stick the die cuts down with a little bit of that purple tape, run that through my die cutting machine, and we'll get them all out. But check out this die. An opening door. Oh my goodness. And it cuts out the window, and then you've got the little window pane. And then check out these decorative details that you don't have to add, but they even have the embossing. Is that not awesome? Oh. All right, so to make this even look like more of a nighttime sky, I've got some shimmer spray. This is the Frost Sheer Shimmer Spray by Tsukineko. And I'm just going to take the cap off and just dab that all over, and then we'll set that off to the side to dry. But check out the sparkle. We've got little stars in the sky. Our sentiment, like I said, is coming from that Latte Love. And I've got some Raven cardstock from Monroe, and I used a magic powder bag on that, stamped it with some Versamark ink, and then I covered that with my alabaster embossing powder. And now we'll get ready to start assembling. All my pieces are ready. And so we'll assemble, we'll take some liquid glue and we'll adhere down that first big patch of grass to the background. And then for our second patch, we're not going to attach it just yet because I kind of want to get everything, all my ducks in a row. But for the little burrow, I didn't want just the grass in the background to be poking through, so I did just hand cut some yellow cardstock that I had in my stash just to fit behind, and then I glued that down. And so now when you open the door, there's the yellow, and you can see that through the window as well. Love it. And then we're going to get ready to adhere the pane on the window, which I just cut out of some gray cardstock I had. And then I trimmed down my sentiment a little bit more. I'm going to attach that with some liquid glue to cover up the part where the purple tape just made it look kind of yuck. And then I'm going to pop this grass up on some foam tape. This is a lot of extra. You wouldn't have to do this. It's not necessary. But I wanted a little dimension. I mean, as if all the coloring and all the little pieces isn't enough, right? So I'll peel off the release paper from my foam tape, and then we'll adhere this piece right down to our card panel. So it's fun. It's got a little bit of dimension. You can stick things kind of tuck stuff behind that grass if you want to. I did put some foam tape on the top of my burrow and a little bit of liquid glue on the bottom, and we'll adhere this down. Love it. And then I did have to put a little bit of foam tape on the top of my fox, a little bit of glue on the bottom of him, and he'll be sitting there. I'll have to put a little bit of foam tape on part of my raccoon's ear, and then liquid glue for the rest of him. And he's going to be coming out of the door greeting his little friends. And our hedgehog, he's got a little bit of foam tape on the top of him as well, and then we'll glue the rest of him down. And the same thing with our bunny. Foam tape on top, glue on the bottom. And then I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on each of the flowers that I hand these guys, if it's necessary, if it's hanging over. Otherwise, we'll use liquid glue. But they're all bringing their little raccoon friend a flower, just to, I don't know, maybe he was down. I'm not sure, but I love this little scene. So he was either, they're thanking him, because this is a thank you card, or they're just trying to give him love, which, goodness sakes, the world needs more of that, right? I'm going to, and I already adhered down, I guess I missed that part. I adhered down the little cobblestone from around the door before I put my raccoon down, but now I'm putting down the little cobblestone path, just using some liquid glue and adhering that down with my crystal katana. And it's just so cute. It's just like that little extra something. And then we've got a little lightning bug. We have a ladybug. And then we also have an earthworm that we're going to stick down as well. So this is just chock full of fun and things to look at. I love that. I had to bring in these little embellishments. These are the Feeling Mushy clay mushrooms. They were perfect for this scene. Am I right? Oh my gosh. So, and some of them are different sizes, some of them are different, a little bit thicker. And so I just put those all over. I was very liberal with where I put those. And I did do the inside as well. I didn't show you that because it was basically just doing a lot of gluing. But this part I was going to show you because I wanted to tie the outside to the inside a little bit more. So I am just going to add sort of like a night sky, like it's fading down into them, just on the upper portion. And I'm not going to go too detailed into it as far as like color or making it real, real dark. But this is the thank you card. So this will give me plenty of room to frame what I'm writing and, you know, plenty of room to write to my recipient. Which I suppose I should send it to all of you guys. If I could send this card to every one of you, I certainly would, because you all are just incredible and encouraging and just wonderful, wonderful people. Over the last few weeks, I have been impressed with the crafty community and how they usually just support each other pretty well. And you've really supported me, so I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to attach that down, my card panel, to my card base, just using that liquid glue. And that's going to finish off our card. Check that out. But there's a whole new release. There is not just this stamp set. I will have a link to this particular stamp set down below in the description box. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for, you know, even watching the commercials that you guys do. That helps me. That helps me keep producing videos. Thank you for all the love and support you guys give, using affiliate links, all that jazz. You guys are incredible. And I will see you very soon in another video. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.